I'm helping set up systems for a new nonprofit organization. And it's really interesting seeing the different opportunities for automations that are being presented. And so I thought I will just document some of the automations that I'm making, hopefully inspire you to see different opportunities to integrate these within your workflows. So something came about where a teammate was copying the outputs from a specific form that was submitted on a website and then putting that in a Slack channel for people to comment on and provide their input. This is an in-person training event, and so people are registering on our website, and then discussions are happening in Slack. But that's not the most efficient way to do this because we're already capturing the information in this online form. So really we should be able to automate that. So let's look at how we can actually do that. And most of the form platforms that you're going to find are going to have this ability to send out the information through what's called a webhook. In this example, I'm using SureForms on WordPress, but a lot of the WordPress form generators all have this functionality. So it may not look exactly the same as this, but we're just going to be looking for something similar. So within SureForms, I've got something called integrations. You may have something called automations, and we need to enable what's called the webhook. And that just allows us to send this information to an external tool. In this example, we're going to be using make.com. I find it's one of the most impactful automation tools, incredible nonprofit plan, very affordable. So I'm going to name this webhook make.com and continue. And now it's asking for a URL and some different methods of what we're actually going to be sending. So I need to now go into Make and actually create this scenario which has this webhook. So I'm creating a new scenario and we're going to be typing in webhook. Now there's a few different ones. I, for some reason, often click on mail hook. You want to have the webhook. Okay, it's a webhook, not a mail hook. And we want to create a new webhook. And we want to give this one a name. So I'm going to call this SureForms, and it's the in-person form, registration form. Okay. Once you click on save, you actually get this really long URL, and that is the webhook address. That is the URL that the form will send the data to, and then it will get captured in this automation tool that then allows us to do whatever we want with it. So I'm going to copy this address to the clipboard. I'm going to give that a bit of a save and then go back to my form. And I'm going to be pasting in that URL there. Now the method we want to use is post. The request format is JSON. That's the only one that we've got. We don't need to send any headers. Select if you want to modify the date and load. No. Okay. So I think we need to add the actual data that we want to send to the webhook here. So in the form, I think we had first name, last name, email address. I'll just do email, and let's actually see if we can get the values here. So we've got name, email, sanctuary name, website, and contact. Okay, so we just got to change this a bit. So we're just going to do name. And so this is just what's called mapping. So you may need to actually assign labels and then values to those labels to then send the data out to the webhook. Sometimes it will just send the whole load, the payload, but looks like we need to, I don't know, maybe it just sends it all if we don't enable this, but either way, I'm just going to show you how you can do this in case yours has that. So we've got email, we're going to put that in there. Sanctuary name, sanctuary. So if you're doing a double word, it can be good to just put like a little underscore because spaces can actually cause some issues sometimes. We're going to do website, and we're going to do contact number. So we'll just do contact. All right, do we want any conditions? No, that's fine. All right, so we've now enabled our webhook, and we can click save to update that, and we can actually view the form. This isn't the actual form, it sits on a web page, but this is just like a preview so we can actually see this. And so now I want to test this. So what I'm actually going to do is come back to Make. I'm going to save this here in the bottom and then click on Run Once. And this now will just be waiting to receive information. I'm going to go back to our form and I'm just going to put in some information here. And let's just do Kyle. Alright, Sanctuary name, Kyle Sanctuary. This is just obviously made up. Website. I'll just put in my website and a phone number 400111222. Okay, so I'm just going to click submit and that's gone through. And now ideally we should see this information in Make, which we are. We can see now those labels that we actually defined before with the values that have come through. So we've got the name, the email address, the sanctuary, the website, and the contact number. Now we want to actually send this to Slack. So I'm going to type in, I'll go a little bit slower. We're going to click on this little plus sign here and we're going to search for the different application that we want to use. And if it's your first time in Make, you'll just see how many applications it's connected to. Literally thousands and thousands of applications. So if you're using something like Airtable or Google Sheets, you can add it. It's got website connections here. We've got AI connections, which I use a lot. We've got Reddit, WhatsApp, Facebook, almost anything you can think of is here. I'm just going to search down a little bit. I did see it before. We had Slack, and you can also search it by just typing in there, Slack. And I'm going to show more, and these are all the different options that we have. You can search for a message, get a message, list a message, send a message. That is exactly what we want to do. Now, I haven't connected the Slack account yet, so I'm going to need to do that now. So I'm going to click on Create a Connection, connection type. I'm going to use user because I've got like an admin Slack user account that I can use, but you could also create a bot and do it that way. And let's just call this OA Slack and then click on Save. Okay, so it says message not found. Nope, now it's redirecting us. Okay, so it's already logged in to the Slack account, which is perfect. So all I need to do is click on Allow. And that is there. Now, I actually do need to quickly make the Slack channel that I want it to be created to. So give me 1 second. Okay, so I just created a channel called Forms in Slack, and we're going to be able to select it from a list. So I'm now going to select this channel. It is a public channel, and we can actually see that it is there called Forms. Now what I want to do is be able to send the data that we received from the webhook to this channel. And we can actually include some text before. Slack doesn't use traditional markdown. They've got their own formatting for bolding. We use 1*. So I'm going to use 1* to indicate the bolding. And I'm going to say new application. New application received. And I'm going to then bold that. And then I can actually bold the labels as well. So I'll do name, colon, and now we are going to be mapping the values that we received from the previous module, which was the webhook. So I've got name, and then I'm inserting the name. This is a variable. This is going to be dependent on the data that comes through each time. So you can include all or only select depending on what you want. And you can see each one of these is coming through as an independent variable. So you can reformat this however you like. You may have the name and email address and then decide to have a few lines between it. This is very flexible and very adaptable for however you like. And so we are now able to save that. We've got everything that we need. We're going to click on Save, and always remember to save your automation. Now all we need to do is actually enable this. We need to turn it on. And because we're using a webhook, this runs instantaneously. So as soon as information gets submitted into this form, this will then be sent to the Slack channel. So I'm going to enable this, and you can see here it says run immediately. We're going to click save again, and we're going to do one test. So I'm going to run this now, and we're going to go back to our form and just resubmit here. So again, just quickly fill this in. Great, so I'm going to click on submit, and we should see, oh, we got a bit of an error. All right, let's see what happened here. We've got error not in channel. Okay, so the user that is in the Slack account is not in this actual channel. So I need to actually add that person, because I added my personal account and not the admin account. So I'm just going to add them. Okay, great. So now they're added. So now we should not get that problem. And we might be able to rerun this. So let's just see if it's going to. No, it won't rerun because it did fail. So we're going to actually go back to the history here, and we're going to try and rerun it here. So if you click on the little history tab, you can see the time that it was run and the error. And we do have a replay run. So this helps you just retry it without necessarily going to have to fill in that whole form again. So let's click on replay. And let's refresh the history here. Okay, and we can see there was a success. So now if we click on details, we can actually see the outputs that came through. So the little one on the top right indicates that there was an output there. We can click on that. We can see my name, the email address, and everything like that. And then if we click on the number 1 there, we can see that the text actually went through. It did do some strange formatting with the website because of how that actually came through. So what we could do is actually pass this text or use some like regex or even AI just to clean up that website. But it's not too bad. In the Slack channel, I'm just having a look at it, and everything has come through. So it is in the Slack, everything has come through, and within about 10 minutes, we have created an automation now that's just really quickly going to take any data that comes through a specific online form and send it to a Slack channel. So you don't need to manually do this again and again. And I call these micro wins because, copy and pasting isn't necessarily a very time-intensive job, but if we don't need to do it and we can accumulate a whole range of these tasks that just automatically get done, it just saves us time in the whole. It accumulates and it can save us, an hour or so every week, which does make a big impact. So hopefully this has given you just a bit of inspiration. I'll do more videos like this to show you a complete walkthrough of actually creating these automations, how they work, and even little errors that come up along the way. And if there's one that you would like created for a specific problem that you're facing, please let me know in the comments below.